And we are live on YouTube. This is Male Entrepreneur Podcast, episode number 191. And we're live in 3, 2. All right, welcome back to the Male Entrepreneur Podcast, the podcast for men who win, with your host, Purdeep Sangha. Purdeep, how you doing today, man?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing good. It's a good day. I'm alive, I'm breathing, so it's a good day.
Okay, I'm still half asleep because we started the recording a half hour early today, so I'm still trying to catch up with you.
So you're one of those late risers, are you?
Well, to be fair, you're 2 hours ahead of me.
Yeah, I guess that is fair.
All right. So, but yeah, sometimes I'm a late riser. I've got a product launch coming up actually tonight as we record. So I stayed up late last night working on that and burning the candle at both ends. I try not to do that, but today I did. And I was not taking care of myself the way that I should.
Yeah, perfect segue into our conversation today, which is self-care. And as men, we don't really talk about this very often. But just out of curiosity, Nathan, are you a morning guy or are you kind of late night? Where do you do your best work?
You know, I hate to admit this because it's so antithetical to the entrepreneurial movement, but I do my best work at night. I don't, and I try to be an early riser and I try to get up early and do my whole morning routine. But if I'm being honest with myself, my brain works best at night. My creativity comes out best at night.
Yeah, see, and there's nothing wrong with that because every single human being, and they've shown the neuroscience behind this, has a different rhythm when it comes to creativity in their work hours. So I've never been able to do the late, like midnight type of work. That's just not me. I do my best work first thing in the morning, and you obviously do your stuff late night. And I know that the productivity can be even better at night for some people. So I don't think there's any stigma to that at all. Because I know some entrepreneurs that stay up late and do their best work at night and then get up late in the morning. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think that's important. I think the challenge comes in when you're getting up early morning and you're staying up till late at night and just grinding away and working away. And if you continue to do that, you're going to burn yourself out.
Yeah, but I will say there's nothing quite as magical as watching the sun rise. It's such an awesome experience that sometimes I wake up early just so I can catch that. So um, I get the early morning people, but I'm not one of them.
Well, there's something actually very you touched on that, which is a little bit of a segue. But when it comes to creativity, going out in nature and actually seeing the horizon lines and actually seeing the sun has an impact on the brain. That they've actually shown this. It actually increases your scope of perspective and perception just by going outside and doing that, looking at mountains and looking at the horizon line, because we're so used to looking at our screens and in our offices. So this just physically opens up your senses. So there's a lot of creativity behind that as well. I used to, that's why I do a lot of my creative work in the morning is because of that very reason. I grew up in an orchard. I was up before the sun would rise a lot of the times, and I would literally watch it, and it's this amazing feeling. And I know and there's this moment too that right before in the summers and in the falls, that before the sun rises, that it actually gets colder before you feel the heat of the sun rays. And I can't remember what that effect is, what it's called, but it's really interesting to feel that, because you're like, it's supposed to get warmer, but it actually gets cooler there for a few minutes before the sun comes up, which was really interesting because I think you get conditioned to it. I used to get conditioned to it, and it was just this weird feeling. But enough of that. Let's get into self-care.
Okay.
So when it comes to self-care, I think this is important. And I just want to tell a little bit of a story here. It's a funny story because my dad, who, we talk about working in the orchards, worked in physical labor his entire life, and a very strong man, physically strong man, and a big guy. And his feet were just completely calloused up just from being outside all the time and working. And he had diabetes, so his feet, a big impact of diabetes is your feet start to hurt. The nerves in your feet eventually die if you don't take care of your diabetes. And a lot of people can even that have severe diabetes can end up injuring their feet significantly because they don't have a lot of feeling in it. And so, a long story short, what ended up happening was when my brother got married, my sister-in-law bought my parents this gift, which was a pedicure. And my dad went in with my mom to get this pedicure. And it's really interesting to see my dad's reaction as he came out because he absolutely loved it. He was like, this is the best feeling. Like they cut your nails, they, scrape away the calluses, and they gave me a massage, and my feet feel so much better as a result. And to see my dad's reaction was pretty amazing because here's this big masculine dude, and all of a sudden he's loving this pedicure. And it just tells a little bit about self-care because there shouldn't be any stigma attached to it. And I think there's a lot of things that we can do as men to take better care of ourselves and allow ourselves to take better care of ourselves because we have this stereotype that we're men. We don't need that. I went for my very first pedicure last year and I loved it, man. It was like a best feeling, like a foot massage and all this kind of stuff. I was like, damn, this is cool. I was telling my wife, I'm like, I need to go more often. But that was just a funny story because I think we as men could do better jobs of taking care of ourselves.
I think part of it is we have this mentality, and I'm not trying to speak for everybody, but I'm definitely speaking for myself and most of the guys that I know. We have this mentality that we don't want to burden other people. We don't want to show weakness. We don't want to share our problems and let them become other people's problems. We kind of have the mentality of, hey, we carry the world on our shoulders. You guys come to me with your problems. I'm the man of the household. I'm the alpha male of the group. You guys come to me and I help you solve the problems. And a lot of self-care stuff, we have this mentality that it's selfish or that's what the girls do, but that's not what the guys do.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's just part of our nature that we're that way or if it's societal programming or what it is, but I feel like it's more just part of our nature to be that way.
Well, I think it is part of our nature, because, and I'm a firm believer of this as well, whether it's the way of Stoicism or any of the philosophy, that putting ourselves through some kind of struggle or discipline or suffering makes us stronger, makes us more men, stronger as men. Which I do believe that we need to put ourselves in uncomfortable situations to get stronger and be better. It's I would just say it's a simple principle of being a man. But that doesn't mean it needs to be extended, and that doesn't mean that we can't have time for recovery. And that's ultimately what this self-care is about. It's about recovery. It's not about, okay, necessarily, well, maybe there is, because when we talk about pampering ourselves, right, there's nothing wrong with that. And this is another thing that comes along with self-care, because a lot of times what we do as men is we say we don't deserve it. We haven't worked hard enough, or we haven't achieved that milestone or that goal to be able to let go of the gas and give ourselves a little bit of a gift or pamper ourselves because we don't feel like we deserve it. We haven't done enough work. But there's something to be said about taking small wins and celebrating them, and small wins and small progress, and actually having some self-care. And it's just like working out. I'll give you another example. Over the last couple of months, I've packed on more weight and more muscle, and I was like, I haven't been doing anything differently. Like, what is it in my workout routine that I'm doing differently? Like I feel better. I'm losing more fat and I'm more muscle, and I'm like, what's going on? And when I look back at it, what happened was I actually took more days off. Um, and because I was doing this new training routine, and I literally took 4 days off over the period of 16 months prior to that. Every other day I was working my butt off, and then I decided to change up my routine and take more days off, and I saw the impact and results. I'm like, wow, I have to take more recovery days, which was really interesting from my perspective. But this is where we take a look and say self-care isn't just about pampering; it's about recovery. And recovering effectively allows us to perform more and actually achieve our goals and results faster and better. Because if we're not recovering, ultimately our performance is actually coming down.
So that goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of last night, staying up way too late for me and then getting up this morning way too early and using the excuse of, well, I've got to be productive. I've got a product launch coming up tonight. I need to get this stuff done. I'm in hustle mode and I've got to be more productive. But also in the back of my mind, the knowledge that I'm always more productive when I get a good amount of sleep, when I allow myself that recovery time. Um, Two things that come to mind, two questions that I have for you. Number one, what are some things that you suggest for self-care? And then number two, and this is because people won't do number one unless they know number two, how do we get over the ideals and the self-talk that a lot of us have, that we don't deserve self-care, or that self-care is for other people, or that self-care makes us less manly? Because even if you give us some good advice on how to do self-care, if I've still got those things, those voices in my head saying you don't deserve self-care makes you less manly, I'm not going to follow your advice.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So let's tackle the second question first, because I can show you the science all day. And this is what we teach. And I show the science behind it, that self-care and recovery is one of the, if it's not the number one, it's a second factor for performance.
Mm.
It is by far, because what they've shown now through research is there's two things that impact people's progress the most. A is actually mindfulness and meditation, right? When we talk about high performance, and B is sleep, recovery. So there's science behind it. So if you can change your perspective from hey, look, this is self-care and this is sissy and I don't need this, to hey, look, this is self-care for my recovery so I can perform better, you're going to actually take a look at things differently. So it's a shift in perspective, but here's also a different shift. As soon as you start doing the proper self-care, right? I'm not talking about just one-offs. Take the proper time out to do self-care. It could be maybe half a day, maybe an entire day, maybe an entire weekend. Track how you feel after it. Because when you feel a whole different level of energy after, you're going to be like, wow, now I see the difference. Now you're actually going to put more intention behind doing it. So first thing is change perspective. C is actually see the results and track the results. And then you're going to see, and then you're going to be more motivated to do self-care. There's another element to that as well, is adding community around your self-care, doing it with other guys, right? And this is where, and I always used to laugh when I used to go to the gym, seeing old dudes sitting in the sauna, just sitting there butt naked, talking to each other and doing this. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, don't they have anything better to do? Well, lo and behold, guess what? That's the best thing that they could be doing for themselves, because A, it's self-care, and the sauna is actually a positive thing because it's flushing out toxins in their bodies. There's a lot of research behind that. And B, they're creating a community around it. So not only are they spending time physically feeling better, but emotionally as well, because now they're getting a chance to talk to each other, create a community, say things that are on their mind and get things off their chest and be supportive of each other. So do it with other guys. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you going and telling your buddy, hey guys, or buddy, whatever it is, or a group of buddies, and saying, hey, let's go get massages, whatever it is. Right. And so you do that with other guys, you'd be like, yeah, that's kind of strange. But if you do that and you guys feel good and you're chatting with each other, it's actually a positive thing to do. Now, the type of massage, that's up to you. I like deep tissue massages, right? there's there's different that is something else that you can figure out for yourself. But I like deep tissue. Like when I go for massages, the guys that I go to get in there deep, right? Like I'm on the verge of almost crying. I have to hold in my pain, um, but I feel great after, right? I feel good. But adding the community aspect to it is important. If you can do that, because when you hang around with like-minded people that actually say it's okay to do this, you're more likely to do this. But if you're hanging around with a group of guys like, ah, that's stupid, man. Why are you getting a massage? Like, you know what? You got to tough it out. You got to get backaches forever, right?
Mm.
That's how you become a man, right? When you're crippled and you can't feel your toes anymore, that you're a real man. Um, so it's who you hang out with as well. And Nathan, to answer your first question, in terms of I can talk about what I do and what I see other guys do. Massages are great. Um, I know some guys do flotation tanks, for example. I don't have one near me, but that's another one. Athletes do this all the time. Cryotherapy, pedicures, nothing wrong with that. Manicures, I'm gonna joke about a little bit because I don't know about manicures, but pedicures are great because they feel awesome, right?
But manicure has man right there in the name.
Yeah, exactly. If you come out with pink nails and flowers on your nails, hey, no, I'm not going to put a stigma to that. That's a different story. You may have to do that with when my daughter does that all the time to me. But so those are the kinds of things: massages, pedicures, like I talked about, cryotherapy. What other things do I know that guys like to do? Even things like just going for walks, right? Going out in nature, go hanging out on the beach. These are all things that could be included in your self-care, and even getting away and spending time by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we feel guilty, especially as guys doing this. Hey, look, I should be around for my family, but there's nothing wrong, and I've done this before, with renting a hotel and just getting away, or renting a cottage and just getting away for the night or getting away for the weekend. That's actually very healthy for you to do. So there's so many different things that you can do. And I think the best thing for this is find something that works for you. Find something that feels good for you, regardless of whatever stigma there is. But if it makes you feel better, if you feel better after as a result of it, do it.
Okay. So you've given us a lot to ponder. Um, you've also given us a lot of clips that could be taken out of context if people want to. Um, I am a big fan of just going for walks. A lot of times when
Mm.
I do wake up early and I do catch the sunrise, it's on a morning walk just because I'm like, okay, it's perfect time to go for a walk. There's not a lot of cars on the street. There's not a lot going on, and I can just enjoy being by myself. And that's the other one, being by myself. Sometimes I just need time by myself. I need to check out. And yeah, I do feel guilty about it sometimes, but I also know that it's something that helps re-energize me. Sometimes just the constant being on for other people just drains me, and I need that time to just recharge. And I think that's kind of what this is all about, is finding a way to recharge yourself.
Yeah, and it's just how we take a look at it, a different perspective. We call it recharge and recovery. And you touched on something really important there too, is it's okay to ask for someone to help you recharge or recover for self-care. I'll give you an example. I asked my wife, hey, do you mind giving me a massage today? Like my back is really stiff. Are you okay giving me a massage? Or even my kids. I felt bad because I'm like, should I ask my kids to give me a massage? They give choppy massages, right? Like the bang, 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 but it feels good. And my kids actually enjoy it. They actually enjoy giving me a massage. So there's nothing wrong with asking for it as well.
Nice. Okay, Pradeep, for the guys out there listening, if they want to check out more episodes of the podcast, where's the best place to go?
I was gonna send them to an interesting website.
No. Resist
Uh,
the
well,
urge.
I'm just gonna make one up here, but something like happyendings.com or something.
Ah,
But mailpodcast.com for the audio, or check out YouTube for men for the video.
all right. Now all of a sudden YouTube for men has a totally different meaning to me.
Watch your subscribership just shoot right through the roof.
Okay. All right, guys. Until next time, we will catch you later.
Till next time.